There's an argument that I simply can't wrap my head around, and that's the argument that Game Pass is bad for the industry because it somehow affects the quality of video games. I've seen this argument made before, and I thought I'd revisit it because I still don't know how many people come to this conclusion simply because, number one, Game Pass consists of mostly games that are now owned by Microsoft. It didn't used to be as big with those games. It used to be other third-party games that kind of made up the majority of games you would find on Game Pass. And at the same time, it's consisting of games that were published, developed, released by other developers whom, after a while, see it as a other viable source to make money. Now, the thing with these other games from other publishers and developers is that they actually cycle through. They never stay continually on the service for the most part. So let's go ahead and look at this particular argument. Let's see if this argument is coming from a place where we can actually take into account what the heck is going on. So this commenter, shout out to you, said, VG, the reason why PlayStation gamers hate Game Pass is because it's bad for the game industry. This is a big claim because you'd have to explain it to me because PlayStation Plus right now, Essential, is pretty much just right behind Game Pass in what it offers. It says your angle is why hate a bargain, but you have to be careful what you wish for because something that seems great in value in the short term may not work out in the long term. Like what? Game Pass is not financially sustainable in the long term. We don't care. You said it's bad for the industry. It's Xbox that should worry about the sustainability. So that part of the argument, I don't understand what's going on. I'm going to move on. New games gradually drop in quality because they have to be funded from the low subscription revenue from Game Pass. New games from whom? Again, this is a very interesting position that a lot of people take and stake their claims on. Because if we go to Game Pass, we're going to see games from Ubisoft, who makes their own games and spend their own money, who own their own software, their own platform that carries their own titles that don't all come to Game Pass. If we go to Sega, we'll see that Sega has bangers with Persona, Yakuza, a lot of games that are funded by them, developed by them, and they bring it to Game Pass depending on the deals that they have. Sometimes they come to day one on Game Pass, but the games are available elsewhere. So they have to actually meet their quality standards if they actually want to sell, because even though the game, goes to Game Pass, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean the game is going to succeed. The game can fail if the quality is not there. I mean, look at Concord. It's a game that its quality is not there where players want to play it. How does Game Pass affect Concord? Do you see this? I've seen a lot of people make this same fallacy in terms of an argument like Game Pass somehow is just affecting games that are being made over there by Rockstar. It's affecting games that are being made over there by From Software, even though we've seen some From Software games actually go through Game Pass after years of being published. Dark Souls at one time, I think, was on Game Pass. Some Square Enix titles like Nier Automata was also on Game Pass at one point in time. How does Game Pass affect the quality of these games? This particular claim is a fantastical claim at the end of the day. Let's keep reading though, ladies and gentlemen, because I think this is going to be unveiling in a sense. And they said, devs have to cut corners when making games due to limited budget. This is bad for the game industry. We want better, not worse. Your challenge is with developers. Your challenge is not with Game Pass, because the developers mostly fund their games to be able to go on Game Pass when it comes to mostly the AAA and the AA. Now, Xbox has an ID at Xbox program, which is very good for the industry, actually, because what they do is they use this particular program to be able to get developers help developers ship their games out. If developers cannot ship their games out, ID at Xbox basically is there to be able to help them if they go through the program. They help them with development kits. If you go through the program, development kits are free for you. PlayStation makes you, doesn't matter who you are, they make you buy your development kit to be able to do your ports. They provide support and all of these other things. You can go look it up yourself. So again, I have no idea how people are coming to this conclusion, because believe you me, I've seen this kind of conclusion years and years ago. Then they continue to say this is bad for the gaming industry. We want better, not worse. If you want better, not worse, spend your money on games that you think are better, not worse. Don't worry about Game Pass. Nothing's going to, that's not going to affect anything. Everybody remember the game Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This was a game that came out that Square basically dumped money on. Remember? Square dumped money on that game. That game was all on Square Enix, and it was actually a decent game. It bombed. Nobody played that game because Marvel's Avengers came out here to come farm money because Fortnite was the thing everybody wanted to chase. Everybody wanted to find a microtransaction filled game, and they tried to use Marvel Avengers to basically be that vehicle. How did Game Pass affect that? Alan Wake 2, a game that basically teetered at the border of winning Game of the Year. That game came out. Almost no one played it. Why did nobody play it? Simply because it wasn't Epic Games exclusive. It wasn't Game Pass that made Alan Wake 2's developer basically struggle for money or funds. There were other reasons that particular game struggled. And if anybody is complaining about Game Pass, they don't even know about Epic Games freebies that they give away all the time. Epic Games gives out a free game almost every week. Actually, 2 of them. My library is full of those games. And I can start showing you these games that basically go straight to free. Some of them even good games. Marvel's Midnight Suns. How many of you played Marvel's Midnight Suns? The game went straight to Epic for free. I didn't see it on Game Pass. It was a good and a quality game. Shredder's Revenge was given away free by Amazon if you have Amazon Prime and their Twitch free game system. They're giving out these games for free. Callisto Protocol, I don't remember seeing it go to Game Pass. Right? But yet some people are here to make this claim that Game Pass is basically affecting the industry because of the quality of games. That has nothing to do with Microsoft themselves. In fact, if you actually review the claim from this gentleman, it's saying that Microsoft is paying for these games with the low subscriber budget from Game Pass. Dude, that's $3 billion in revenue from the 34 million subscribers. How is that low? And when it's all calculated from basically what's being told to us on the financial details we have, which Phil Spencer threw out there, saying that they spend about $1 billion in acquiring content. Game Pass has basically a margin of about $1 billion. If you actually say $1 billion for game, $1 billion for expenses, which I don't think it costs that much. They've been running that system on PC forever as a store. The game is making over $1 billion. Even PlayStation themselves, when they were doing their threat analysis, talked about that $1.5 billion possible margin that Game Pass has in profitability. So anybody who's saying this stuff about Game Pass, I don't think you're reading the industry very well. If PlayStation had Game Pass, many of you won't say this. And that's what I continue to see as the fantastic claim. Many people would not say this stuff if it was PlayStation who had Game Pass. They'd say it was sustainable. When they're giving you the numbers here from Xbox's side, when the numbers leaked from the Brazilian Economic, agency, that you saw the 29 million at that time. Even back then, the thing was churning out money. He said, making great games that are very high quality costs a lot of money. That onus is on the developers themselves. You have to sell the games at full price to a large user base to recover the development cost. It depends on the game. Microsoft has finally seen the light, and Phil Spencer has now been forced to make a U-turn, moving the focus towards higher quality games by porting the games to other platforms. No! A lot of these games that you're looking at were Bethesda games that were mostly in the pipeline closer to acquisition. I don't think there's been much in terms of greenlighting brand new games that are coming with Bethesda. A lot of the Activision games are more than games that were already in the pipeline. PlayStation brought us to this position that we're in. My dear sir or ma'am, I don't know, I just saw a username. PlayStation tried to money hat those games. People are saying that Game Pass, how are we even having this conversation? I just don't see how we're having this conversation at the moment. Because how are we to actually account for all these other games that are being made by their respective developers and their quality? That's all independently of their developers. Even the Microsoft games, they give the developers free reign for the most part. Dead Space remake. It's now on EA's version of game. Was that not a good game? So which low quality games are you talking about? Helldivers 2. Now that game is trending. If you actually go back and look at it, let's check it out. Helldivers 2. The game is trending and mostly negative from the most recent reviews. Look at it. Do you know why? The developers are the ones basically killing their game. How does that have anything to do with Xbox Game Pass? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, if you're going to judge anything on Xbox Game Pass, it now at this point needs to be Microsoft's games. And right now, the Call of Duty beta that's out, it's getting all kinds of praises, while XDefiant, Ubisoft's free-to-play, almost, kind of close to Call of Duty competitor, according to the press, is on borrowed time. People are loving the Omni, movement is what they call it here on Call of Duty. They're enjoying some of the different things that they've seen from the beta. While Ubisoft, who made their game independent of anything that Microsoft was doing, needs to step it up for their Season 3 of XDefiant. So once again, I don't see how this is actually something that anybody would be saying. You have to sell your games at full price. Well, yeah, but the gaming industry is very saturated. This is why Sony has kind of backed away from its production of these extreme single-player games. And hey, by the way, they have those single-player games on their subscription service for free that they're not selling for full price. Is anybody saying that that's bad for the industry? No one is. This is you. You're showing your bias. You first started out sounding all, like, yeah. And then eventually you threw yourself into this. You said this. Deluded Xbox still don't get it. This is the problem you have. Whenever you have to throw the word Xbot around, we then eventually catch you and say, yee, there you are. Still don't get it. I think Microsoft is a charity to supply freebies forever. They're in the process of throwing all the console Xbots under the bus in a slow motion because they can't make any money off them. This is inherently a very stupid claim. Why? Because you threw an attack on the people who play on Xbox at the end of your very empty claim that cannot even tell us exactly what it is you're trying to say. That's it. That's it. I enjoyed making these videos, man. These videos really do expose something that's inherently, rotten to the core in the conversation surrounding gaming. If you can't see it yet, that there is a huge, huge tilt against anything good that Xbox does. People will say it's bad. When you ask them how is it bad, they make up the most absurd nonsense to go ahead and actually try to prove a claim and then think somebody just isn't. It's almost like there is a cultish mentality around this stuff because these answers are the same. Bro, I make exactly the same videos every so many months because I see a comment that shows up that looks exactly like a comment that I've seen before. When Epic is over here donating free games to the world, somebody tells me that Game Pass, where you pay a subscription fee, is going to hurt the industry. Look at my Epic Games library. I think I may have bought like 3 games on this platform. Everything else I got for free. Ghostwire Tokyo, free. I did not pay for this game. Was this game not money hatted by PlayStation so that they will make it a timed exclusive for their platform? And basically that studio, having made a number of games, look at it. They were giving away. People say these things about Tango Gameworks. I'm like, they were giving their games away for free after they could not, they were, free to us, but Epic was paying to bring it to their, free program. Why? Couldn't sell the darn thing. Couldn't sell much of it. Even within 2 sales were not as great. Ghostwire Tokyo sales, we don't even know. How did Game Pass affect the quality of them? They were timed exclusives on PlayStation. No, well, Ghostwire was timed exclusive on PlayStation. Evil Within was made a while back. They're throwing Xbox under the bus. What are these people even talking about? What are you all even, what are you talking about? Death Stranding, PlayStation exclusive, somewhat quality, free. There's a saturation in the gaming market. Sorry, but I don't think I can take this claim seriously. I just think somebody is maybe jealous. Because again, I can almost tell you with a high level of certainty that if PlayStation was doing this, y'all would be eating it left, right, and center. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.